Many Shades of Pink and Black Health. Many Shades of Pink and Black Health, where good health equals long life.
Welcome to the Many Shades of Pink and Black Health radio program on KBLKradio.com, sponsored by Many Shades of Pink. I'm your host, breast cancer survivor and advocate, Wendy Sherrill.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Susanna Fallow. And today we have the pleasure, our special guest is Dr. Lawrence Wood, and he's a retired ophthalmologist and a broker at the Westpac Wealth Partners. Today our topic is the transition from physician to finance. So welcome, Dr. Larry. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for inviting me. You guys look glamorous. That's why I got my hair did too. I knew y'all would look this good.
We're glad you dressed up for the occasion.
Exactly, and your hair looks fabulous.
That's right. So we're going to just jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about who you are and your family, where you're from, that sort of thing.
Okay. I'm from New York, Harlem, Washington Heights, which is, they border each other.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, it's, with all this gray hair, I got a lot of stories, right?
Yes.
You got to direct me.
So that's okay. So tell us, you know where you're from. So, do you have a family? Do you have children?
Yeah, married to Vanessa for 23 years. We have 4 boys.
Okay, ages?
And ages is 38. Oh, help me, Vanessa, please.
Average age, right?
Average age.
39, 35, and 18.
Okay.
Two 35s. They're not twins.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
from different
families.
You have a blended family.
Yeah, we have a blended.
Okay, that's fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then we heard about the New York. So you grew up there.
Yep.
When you started going to school, did you transition and go somewhere else?
I did, but I finished college in New York, and then I went away to medical school. But I love New York. I'd never lived there again. Going back to visit, I'd only be 4 days is enough.
No matter what season it is?
Yeah, but it's funny you say that. No matter what season it is, because I cannot stand cold, right?
Oh, interesting.
I can't
But
either.
it seems like every time we go back, it's cold. It's either, November or December. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, why do we keep doing this? But it always seems to turn out that way. It's kind of crazy.
You got to go in the springtime.
Yes,
or
or
in
in the summer.
Fall.
Yeah, the fall or the spring. I mean, the summer is kind of humid. So,
and hot.
Yeah, hot. So, question. So, what made you decide to go into medicine?
Ooh. I was a physical therapist. Well, I was going to school for physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I had decided that was my path. So in the summertime, I would go and work at a physical therapy clinic,
Mm-hmm.
Making the connections and just getting to know the business before I graduated, right?
Yes.
And one year that I was there, it was this doctor, her name was Dr. Dworecker. Why would I remember that name?
Yeah.
I can't. It's hard. The simplest names I don't remember.
Okay.
But Dworecker, I guess because she was so instrumental in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But so she came up to me and said, I think you ought to be a physician.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, what?
Right.
Where did this come from? So I politely thanked her and said, yeah, that's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's cute.
Yeah. Who's gonna pay for that education,
Yeah.
right?
So you just basically was like, yeah, okay, I'm in agreement with you, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I had already set my path. I was going to be a physical therapist.
Right.
I made up my mind. I know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came back the second summer and worked there. And she said it again.
Wow.
And to this day, I've never seen her since.
Wow. Just those 2 rotations in the summers?
Yep, and that was the last time I ever saw her. But the funny part was when she first said it to me, that was the first time anybody had ever said such a thing to me. No one had ever said anything like that to me before.
So she must have seen something in you that you didn't even see in yourself at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She did.
Because, I was, I wasn't saying I was a brilliant student, but I was a good student. And, some of my teachers even encouraged me that there was some higher level high schools to go to, and they suggested I take the test to get into those. I failed.
That's because you're not a good test taker.
Yeah, that's it.
It wasn't knowledge base, it was test taking skills.
Right. I think we all kind of lacked of that. Okay. I fall short from that.
But they never said, you know what, Larry, you're so smart, you should think about being a doctor.
Right.
You know? And my friends never said it. My family never said it. She's the only woman only person that ever said such a thing. So it was kind of bizarre to me. I just didn't know how to take it.
So was she a physical therapist in the clinic that you were volunteering in?
She wasn't. She was a physiatrist.
Okay.
Oh, she was a podiatrist.
So for those of you that know, that's a physician that specializes in kinesiology and physical therapy type modalities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, after that, this is in your high school years, right? Or this is in your college years?
Yeah, college years.
College years,
That's
okay.
right.
So when did you actually make that transition? Because you said that second year you went there, you did your rotations or your volunteering work during the summer months. When did you actually make that transition in your mind, wrap your head around going down the path of being a physician instead of a physical therapist?
Yeah. So, like I said, I ignored her. I just thought it was a very nice thing that she said about me. And so then I became a physical therapist, and I worked at Harlem Hospital. And there were 2 physical therapists that were trying to get into medical school. So now it starts coming back to me, what she said.
Correct.
And one of them got into medical school. And I'm thinking, this is possible.
Yes.
As somebody that was on my path that now is off the path and going somewhere else, right? And the other one, she may have eventually gotten into medical school, but I don't know because I got in finally, took 3 times.
Okay.
But
you already had the courses that you needed, or did you have to go back and take a few other courses? Because when you're applying for medical school, you have to have biology, chemistry, and physics, and all that math for so many years. And if you go past that for however many years, you have to go back and take something, right?
Well, when I applied to several, I got accepted at Meharry. It was a conditional acceptance, and that was the 3rd try.
Okay.
The first 2 times, all rejection letters, and then I opened this letter, says, congratulations, you've been accepted. And then I read some more and said, but you have to take such and such. It was microbiology and organic chemistry.
Yes.
Oh. What does organic chemistry entails?
I don't know.
Nobody does. It's just harder than the regular chemistry. That's all you have to know.
That's right.
Nobody in their rightful mind takes it if they don't have it. And you don't use it ever again in life after you take the class.
That's right. So I threw it in the trash.
Okay.
Because I said, I got this close, and I know I can do this, and they want me to do this, so I threw it in the trash.
Wow.
And then God spoke to me. I didn't know God then, okay, but He spoke to me anyway.
Yes.
And He said, "Fool, go get that thing."
Dig it out the trash can right now. I'm trying to give you an opportunity. I'm trying to open a door.
That's right.
Right.
And so I went down for the interview to Meharry. And again, God was with me the whole. he was before me, not just with me, but he was before me.
Yeah.
Paving the
Because
way
when
for
I
it.
went down there, from my perspective, I don't know how it happened, but I understand from a God perspective. You know, so I talked him out of me being able to take
Those two courses.
microbiology.
Oh, wow.
So it came down to organic chemistry. Said take organic chemistry over the summer, which is nonsense because usually organic chemistry that's 6 months, and now you want me to take it over
In 6 weeks.
yeah
Within
yeah
6 weeks, because that's the summer.
and and pass it
Wow.
And pass it, right?
yeah and pass
They
it
didn't say just take it. They said
yeah
you
that's
just pass it.
pass it. So I said okay. well I obviously I passed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was this kid in the class who he had to be a genius because he was a young kid,
Mm-hmm.
and and when we took tests, he just got marks that are up here,
Right.
and I'm struggling.
He ruined the curve.
Yeah,
didn't
that's right. He ruined the
Bell
curve.
curve.
He knew all the answers.
Uh-huh.
When the professor asked questions, he knew all the yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, kid.
he? Yeah. Back off a little.
Yeah, please. I'm trying to get into medical school,
Right.
and you're here having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So, well, that's interesting. So that's really what took you from the path of physical therapy on
Yeah.
to
That's right.
going into medical
Yes.
school.
That's
And
right.
Meharry, some people may not know.
It's in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
At the time, there were just two black medical schools, Meharry and Howard. And Meharry graduated 50% of all the black doctors in the country at the time.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
So once you finished your, I'm assuming you got in there you did your summer class of organic chemistry, then
Yeah.
you got in that fall,
Yep.
and you started, and you
Right.
wondered why in the world I did get in there because it was so hard.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what did I do to myself?
That's exactly.
'Cause those next 2 years were the worst 2 years of your life.
That's right.
I know, from experience.
Yeah.
But then once you finish your 4 years, then what did you want to do during that 4 years of medical school? What did you decide to do during that time?
Well, my first year, even before I got in, I because I like human behavior, I like understanding people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I ask a lot of questions, because I just want to know why do you think that way? How did you come to that conclusion? So I thought psychiatry would be a good avenue for me to take.
But you know that the psychiatrists are all crazy, right? So.
Absolutely, that's what I found out.
Only crazy people go to psychiatry. Excuse me for all my
Oh my
psychiatry
God. Well,
colleagues.
because
but anyway.
I am
retired,
a
so
self.
I
I am
don't-
a self.
So am I.
I am a psychiatrist.
Yeah. From personal
With it,
experience,
right, in my own right.
But it takes a special person
It
because
does.
you just go. The mental health field is
Yeah.
really challenging.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
and I just
yeah.
find that the doctors have to either be on their P's and Q's or they're just nuts. So
And-
anyway, so what made you change
and-
your mind
and
after
that's-
you realized
well,
that psychiatry might not be the option?
We went into a psychiatry rotation,
Okay.
and that was my first entry into knowing how bizarre people could be. I had no idea that people could be so bizarre. None whatsoever.
Was psychiatry your first rotation or one of the first rotations in your third year? Because I'll explain to people the 4 years in medical school, and then we'll probably take a break and dive into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the 4 years, the first 2 years are strictly academic, where you're sitting in a class
Right.
day and night,
Right.
studying, taking exams, and that's what it's all about.
Could I interrupt you just a real? Okay, so you already done completed your 4 years, right?
4 years of college.
College, that's
Then
right.
you
And
go
then
to
you
medical
went to medical
school.
school.
Right.
But the 4 years
Right.
of medical
Medical
school,
school.
the first 2 years are classroom work. So you're
Okay.
sitting in these large auditoriums with 150, future physicians,
Right.
and you're all learning classes, microbiology and physiology and all that, anatomy and all
Yeah.
those types of things, biochemistry. And then the second half of your career in medical school is the last 2 years, third and fourth years, and they're rotations in various fields of
right.
medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So, then you can do rotations in psychiatry, surgery, pediatrics,
Mhm.
family
Right.
medicine, orthopedics, whatever it is. So,
Yes.
and this is going to give you a feel of really, that's kind of where most people make up their mind. You think you're going to be something when you start off and you end up changing your mind.
Right.
So what we'll do is, that's kind of laying the groundwork for what we're going to cover on the second half. We're going
Yes.
to take a break now, and then we'll dive into it afterwards.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're listening to the Many Shades of Pink and Black Health Radio program on KBLKradio.com, and we'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back to Many Shades of Pink and Black Health Radio program on KBLKradio.com, sponsored by Many Shades of Pink. I'm your host, Wendy Sherrill, breast cancer survivor and advocate.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Susanna Flalo, and I am a retired physician, family medicine. So we're going to continue on the second half of our show. We have our special guest, Dr. Lawrence Wood, and he is a retired ophthalmologist and a broker at the Westpac Wealth Partners. Our topic today is the transition from physician to finance. So we're going to pick up where we left off,
Yes.
where we were just getting ready to talk about all these wonderful rotations that you did
Yeah.
in medical school at Meharry.
You're gonna be surprised about one of them.
I'm sure.
Sure.
So you started off thinking you were going to be a psychiatrist, and you
Right.
soon realized that when you took that rotation, you saw crazy people.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a kid, you call people crazy all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It doesn't
we
mean
did.
anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see people who are really, the odd is not the word.
Mhm.
Even crazy is not the word.
Bizarre.
Because bizarre is the best word I can come up with.
Mhm.
But that doesn't even.
Still doesn't do it justice.
No.
They're just off the chain.
So let me just ask. So when you were doing that rotation, and this is something you thought that you wanted to do, and you soon decided that this is not the direction you wanted to take.
Uh-huh.
But what did it take for you to come to that conclusion?
Well, number one, the patience.
Okay.
Number two, it was the like you had mentioned earlier, when we would talk about the patients after rounds,
Mm-hmm.
the psychiatrists, the attendings would talk to us about the patients and their progress
Mm-hmm.
and so, but then the psychiatrists would get personal with us and tell their story.
Mm.
And they would talk about how they needed a psychiatrist from what all that they had been through.
Yeah.
And
PTSD for the psychiatrist.
I'm sitting here like,
Do I want to be one of them?
wait
Okay.
a minute.
I don't lie.
This is not the life I don't want to. God bless them.
Yeah.
I don't want to treat those people.
Right.
I just don't.
Right.
You do
Or you
need-
just don't have that special gift, because it does take a
Yeah,
special
yeah.
gift.
I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not the
Thank
one.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not chosen for that one.
You should be a writer.
Yeah,
You know
okay.
how to say it. I don't have that gift.
So tell us about some of the exciting rotations that you did in your third and fourth year. What really sparked you? Did you change your mind a few more times before you landed up into ophthalmology?
Well, I finally settled into orthopedics,
Okay.
Orthopedic.
and
okay.
that was because number one, I liked how they fixed things,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like a natural progression from being a physical therapist,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
all the time, the 3 years that I was a physical therapist,
Mhm.
you come in contact with orthopedic doctors all the time,
yes.
every day.
Correct.
Mhm.
So it was a natural progression for me. So I said, okay, let me just settle into what I know,
No, right.
and that's what I was doing. And I graduated. I did my internship at Howard.
So when you did your internship, well, before you, did you realize that in your third year or your fourth year that you wanted to do orthopedics? Can you remember offhand? Because it sounds like your psychiatry rotation was in your third year, and you quickly jumped off of that.
Yeah. So I don't really remember.
Okay.
But I don't really remember.
Okay.
But
So-
I knew I had settled in. I'm going to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
it.
so you just went into, so did you practice as a orthopedic surgeon?
No.
So there's a couple steps
So-
before
oh,
Yeah,
that.
okay.
actually, what, and God at work again, I got a public health scholarship in the 3rd and 4th year.
Explain to the audience what that means.
Yeah. public
Okay,
health.
so when you go off to medical school, you have to pay for it.
Mhm.
Right.
Or somebody else can pay for it.
Somebody
Exactly.
else is gonna pay for it.
Right.
And before, I gotta tell this story.
Mhm.
Okay.
So when I got accepted, I had no money. My mother was a domestic, they call them domestics.
Mhm. Domestic worker.
And
Mhm.
my father was a cab driver.
Mhm.
So they didn't have that much money.
Right.
Although my father was pretty good at saving. They were both good at saving, so they gave me some money for my first year, but it didn't cover the first year, obviously.
Right.
So I got loans, and I got, it was mostly loans. I don't think I got much of a
Scholarship.
a scholarship.
Mhm.
I think there was a one that gave me something like $1,000
Mhm,
bucks,
mhm.
you know, but that was it. But a lot of us were looking forward to the 3rd year when we could apply for the public health scholarship.
Oh.
And you can only do that by the 3rd year because no public health was not going to bet on somebody in the 1st or 2nd year,
Correct.
right?
They may
wanna
not
know,
make it.
That's right. They want to know at least you made it back.
And you pass your course, your
Yeah.
first set of boards, I
Right.
think, by then or something.
So-
You're
right?
invested in it.
Yeah. So they can. So I got a public health scholarship. They paid for the last 2 years. Whew, that was nice.
But after that,
But
there's-
I
you
had-
owe them.
Yeah, but you owe them.
Yes.
Really?
So
Yes.
you owe them time, not
Yes.
money
Money,
they
but
gave you,
time.
but you owe them time. So they sent me to Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh.
To work
To
off
work.
his money.
Now,
Work off his debt.
now, me coming from New York,
To going to Jack. Oh
going
my
to
gosh.
Nashville,
Mhm. From Harry.
I'm thinking, oh shucks,
Yeah.
that's deep, deep,
Deep,
south.
deep south.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yes.
Right.
Now I'm going into deep undercover south in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I just really have all good things to say.
Yeah.
All my fears never became realized.
Yeah.
Right.
So my question is, you finished your medical school training 4 years. They paid for your last 2 years.
Yeah.
You owed them 3 years.
Uh,
So it was like an
that's
investment.
right.
It was an investment on their
Yeah.
the returns on their investment. They
That's
invested
right.
2 years in you
Yeah.
on their medical school
Yeah.
education, but then you owed them 3 years of service.
That's correct.
But while you're paying back that debt, you do get a stipend or a
Oh yeah,
salary of some
you
sort
do.
to
you
live
do.
off of.
Yeah, okay.
So, still, I'm on the track to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Surgeon, okay.
I made that decision way back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to the right people and doing the right things as I was concerned, as far as I was concerned, to get into the orthopedic program in the public health system.
Yes.
I mean, I'm already part of public health.
Exactly.
Right.
So, well, it closed down.
Ooh.
They don't need orthopedic surgeons in the public health department. They need primary care people.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's
See,
right.
You
That
have to
was
forget
the-
where they send you. If
That's
they don't
right.
need no chopping and sawing
And
and,
that-
buzzing and carrying on.
That's right. They don't need it. So that was the decision they made. Said we don't. This is a waste of our money, or we could use our money elsewhere
Yes.
to train other physicians to do what you just said.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm in this clinic. It's Jackson Hines Clinic in Jackson, Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking, now I don't know what to do, because I invested all my time into that program.
Yes. Yes.
And talking to the people from that program.
Yes. And then they shut the door on you.
Yeah. So, and I tell this story all the time, and it's the truth. I'm sitting down one afternoon, and at the end of the day in the clinic, watching TV, and you know those things that fall out of the magazine, those
Oh, those little
like
ads,
cards?
those little
Damn
cards.
cards.
So
Yeah.
one had fallen out of a magazine and somebody didn't bother to pick it up, and I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to pick it up and throw it in the. Be the doctor you want to be in the United States Navy.
Ah! How about that?
How about that? Because I was going to ask you.
How
I was
timely
going
is
to
that?
ask you, when did you serve in the Navy?
So it was after you picked up that piece of trash off the
Right.
floor.
Yeah, that's right. And so I don't remember whether I filled out the card or called the number. I don't remember. But the recruiter came and you know, wined and dined me, and I spoke to this captain who said, "All right, what do you want to be?" "I want to be an orthopedic surgeon."
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Okay, I'll tell you how to do that. When you get in the Navy, become a flight surgeon. Do a good job, and they'll give you any, and you'll get any residency that you want." I said, "Is that it?"
That seemed easy enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. I got it.
Right.
And but there was a bump in the road into me getting into the public health service, because the next flight surgeon class was in May. I was not scheduled to get out of the public health. I think it was September, October.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So I just called them up and said, "Can I get out early?"
Get out of
That's what they
get out of jail early card. You were doing time. You were doing 3 years of
That's what they
time.
said.
Hard time.
In other words, they
Please.
say, "Please."
Well, if
come
you
on
if
now.
you getting out, you owe us 2 years of finances.
Yeah. So, but then, you know, I'm thinking, and I tried to explain to them, look, this is public health. It's a uniform service.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm just transitioning from one uniform service to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Did he,
No.
It wasn't very. Didn't
It
sound
was
very
a big
convincing.
no.
Big no. But I would call back every once in a while, and finally, the last time I called, the receptionist, she had known me by then, and she said, "You know what I would do? I would call you congressman."
Oh.
Wow.
And I said, "Okay." Now, I'm in Mississippi. As far as I'm concerned, well, I'm not from there. I don't
Right.
have a congressman in
Exactly.
Mississippi.
Right.
But I did call. I wrote a letter
Mm-hmm.
to the congressman of that district.
Mhm.
And don't you know, about 2-3 weeks later, I get a call from the public health service that says, "Okay, you can transfer."
Oh, wow.
It's amazing.
That's amazing.
I didn't know Congress people could be that powerful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Surprised.
That was that was my first contact with elected officials,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and wow,
And it worked out.
yeah, it worked out.
worked
God works
out.
in mysterious ways. 'Cause if it wasn't for that secretary receptionist, you
Yeah.
wouldn't even known that.
Right.
I
So
wouldn't have
that's
known that.
why, I mean, she put that buzz in your ear, and
I'd
Wow.
still be in Jackson, Mississippi.
Doing something in
Yeah.
that clinic. So you apparently got your walking papers to go over and go to
Yeah,
the
that's
right.
Navy.
So
And then
I went into the Navy, and I got trained to be a flight surgeon,
mm-hmm.
and then I was deployed to on a ship that was doing a Mediterranean cruise, which sounds very nice.
Ooh, that does
Sounds
sound
very
very
pleasant.
yes, because I'm getting
Doesn't
ready to
it
go. I'm
doesn't
getting
it
ready to
sound
go.
beautiful?
I'm going on that.
Okay.
yeah, but you're not going as a Navy officer. There's responsibilities as a Navy officer. We pay their salary. Hello, they need to be working.
Exactly.
On vacation.
Yeah.
So it sounds good, but tell us what it really
Yeah.
was all about.
Yes.
Well, you guys, I don't know if you remember or not, but that was the year that whoever it was, I say they,
Mhm.
blew up the Marine barracks,
Mm.
1983.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and up until that point, everybody that was deployed there stayed on the ship. They talked about how boring it was, nothing ever happened,
Mm.
and blah, 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 blah,
Mm.
blah.
Until something happened.
Yeah,
Something happened.
Wow, Why me?
Yeah.
Right.
On your watch.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, the orthopedic surgeon was on the ship, the general surgeon was on the ship. I'm thinking, I don't know. This is for me. So I when I finally got back stateside, started thinking about what I wanted to do, and I said, it's going to be ophthalmology, which is really, really bizarre.
Yeah. I don't know how you go from orthopedics to ophthalmology.
I'm still
It's
trying
surgery,
to,
but
right,
it's-
I'm just still trying to understand
I don't understand.
where
it
did
either.
you come
From that.
From that,
I
yeah.
have no idea, because in medical school, when we had the ophthalmology rotation, half the time I never showed up because it was so boring.
That was this was your punishment coming back around.
Right.
Pay attention. Now you have to go into it for life.
Right.
And even in my internship, ophthalmology rotation,
Boring.
Boring.
so boring.
Yeah.
And then I turn out
To go into
to
ophthalmology.
be an ophthalmologist.
But you told me you went into that because it was a clean surgery.
Well,
No blood and guts all over you.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out all the reasons why I did it, and that's part of it. You know, I wanted to be a surgeon. I wanted to do something with my hands, and it is clean as opposed to orthopedic surgery,
and
which is probably less bloody now than it was back then.
right.
But it was one bloody mess in that OR.
And lots of it's more like a glorified carpenter.
Yeah.
You learn how to use saws and drills and hammers, and I'm telling you,
Right.
Their equipment tray has got all kind of things
Oh,
that
I've
look like
seen
you're
it.
building a ship or something.
Right.
Where they're just gonna replace somebody's knee or hip.
But I'm just thinking that perhaps what you saw while you were in the Navy, all that blood, everything kind of like
That was
just was like, you know, a lot of people just can't deal with that.
Yeah, well,
Or choose not to.
Yeah.
I know one thing. When I was out there in that building, it was blown up, and I'm looking, you know, I'm triaging all those folks. I know one thing: there wasn't an ophthalmologist out there.
So you didn't want to be back out there. They didn't care about eyes at that point. They were trying to save somebody.
Right, yeah.
Save limbs and things like that.
Right,
So
exactly.
you're thinking you want to choose something that you didn't have to be deployed on that ship again, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
was part of it too. But it's
Multifaceted.
just so funny that I would choose the thing that I thought was so boring the whole time of my medical training.
So then when you did go into it, what part of it did you really like? I'm assuming you enjoyed it because you stayed in the profession for many
Yeah.
years.
And that's the irony of it all. I couldn't logically come to a rational conclusion that ophthalmology was it.
Mm-hmm.
It was God directed, and I'm telling you, now that since I was in it,
Mm-hmm.
there's no other profession in being a physician better than being an ophthalmologist. I just can't imagine it. And I love what you do.
Yeah. But you're not gifted for this
You ain't
family
gifted for
medicine.
family medicine.
This is like being on the front line.
Exactly. You
That's
front
right.
line.
We're
I
the
just sit back like
Right,
this
you-
Yeah.
and just wait on your phone call.
Wait till we refer you and say, okay, Mrs. Jones has a little eye issue over there. Take care of it.
Right,
Yeah.
and you see, because you see it all,
Oh.
and you do it all.
That's
So
right. She does.
that's
We
why
got
it
the
is the
hard
front
work.
line.
You get the little dollars, they get the easy job, they get the big
Big
dollars.
dollars, they do.
Oh, that makes sense.
Wendy, I've been hearing this all my life, but I keep telling them, you too could have checked that box.
Exactly.
Oh, wait.
They chose
Wait a
that,
minute,
right?
you chose psychiatry, then orthopedics. You didn't know where you wanted to land up, okay? Don't even try it. Lord put me on my path at the beginning. I listened the first time. You had to go through all kind of gyrations to get to your destination. Don't even try it.
Okay, he went through a few.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like in the wilderness. That's okay, but I finally made it to the promised land.
Okay, exactly.
You know, you have to be passionate about the choice you make, and it doesn't sound like you were passionate at the time, but you certainly grew to know and love it while you
Yeah.
were training. So now you had to go back and do a residency in
In
Ophthalmology.
ophthalmology,
So
that's right.
you know
How
this
did
like
you-
3 times now. So you did. How many years did you do in orthopedics? I mean, in terms of training.
No, I didn't do any training
So it was
in
on the job,
orthopedics.
on the job training.
Yeah, so I did actual ophthalmology for 3 years.
Okay, so you
Okay.
did residency in the Navy
Right.
for 3 years.
At Balboa.
Balboa.
At Balboa.
Okay.
Okay.
And then how many years did you actually do in the Navy? Period. Just
26.
26 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
And then retired. Did you want to retire at that point, or that's how many? You need 20 years, I think, to retire. Right?
Yeah, you need
20.
at least 20.
At least 20.
And yeah, I wanted to retire. In fact, I put in my papers too early.
They gave them back and say, nope,
That's exactly what
you can't get out
They
yet.
said, what are you talking about?
You owe us a few more years.
Right. You gotta fulfill that what is it, a public health service?
They said, yeah. I said, you calculated wrong, son.
You owe us a few more.
Yeah. But,
But then you retire as an officer, a naval officer.
yeah, that's right.
So you get that pension. But it doesn't sound like you did not
I
retire
didn't.
as a physician.
No, I didn't. It didn't retire as an ophthalmologist even.
Right.
I worked out in La Jolla in a couple of practices. Two great guys that I worked with. Can I mention the names?
Sure.
Yes.
They are cool
Yeah,
guys.
you can promote them.
Max Parikh at Envision and Steve Schallhorn.
Okay.
He was
okay.
also in the Navy with me. Steve was.
Okay,
So
so
did you-
shout outs to them.
Yeah. So did you decide to join that group prior to leaving the Navy? Had you already made your path and say, once I leave, I'm going to join this group? Or did you kind of do some stuff out in the wilderness again before you found the group to join?
Well, I knew these guys before I got out, so they we were talking
Okay.
Yeah.
all along. So
Okay. So then how many years did you stay with that group before you when did you actually retire as an ophthalmologist?
March of 2009 was my last surgery.
Okay. And when did you actually
Yeah.
retire from the Navy?
2 years before that.
Oh, so 2 years.
February 2007.
Okay. So you did
Oh.
2 more years in a private practice group
Yeah,
ophthalmology.
that's right.
Sounds like designer ophthalmology.
I know, it sounds like,
Once you said La Jolla, it's like,
Right, okay,
what
yeah.
are we doing?
Why she mad?
I know. You know what, Dr. Wood? I think that she was a little jealous.
I'm gonna tell because I had to work hard for my $2, and he just had to sit back and make somebody in La Jolla beautiful
You
and get big done.
too. You know,
Check that box. God knew where he needed me. I already know that. I'm fulfilling my purpose on this earth as you did.
Okay,
So
so
now, yeah.
Now, so question, why did you decide to pursue a second career in finance, and when did you start? And
finance about 4 years ago. You know what? If it's okay, maybe
yes, go
talk
ahead.
about what happened before the finance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because once I retired from ophthalmology, then I was just sitting on the couch.
Getting big.
Yeah.
Couch potato.
Watching Jerry Springer.
Oh,
Oh my God! All
The
drunk.
mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Okay.
So that's when I decided to write the first book.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Which one of these is your first book?
the first book is this one, Among Pigeons.
Okay.
What is that about?
Yeah, what is this about?
That one and the sequel, Love and Death Among Pigeons. That they're the thought was back in New York when I was a little kid. There used to be this homeless man, and I'm using the homeless man now as because that's the nice way to say it, but we call him a bum.
Right.
And he would show up in the springtime. He would disappear by fall. But when he came into our neighborhood, you know, he smelled awful. We teased him. We did terrible things to him.
That's what kids do.
Yep.
That's what you do.
And
You're young.
and then, you know, then finally by winter, for sure, he was gone.
Mhm.
This happened year after year after year.
Mhm.
And then one year he never showed up.
Mm.
And we said, I wonder what happened to John.
Mhm.
John the Bum. I don't know if that was his name.
You guys just
But
call
you
him.
guys
We
just
just
his name.
called him that.
Yeah, right. You gave him a name.
All the time that we mistreated him, he never said one word.
Mm.
Not one word. All I remember at one time, he grunted. But I don't know whether he could speak or not speak,
Oh, wow.
whether he chose not to speak. I don't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
But we never, we didn't care. We were just dumb little kids.
Mhm.
So the year that he finally didn't show up for springtime,
Mhm.
we asked, well, where's John the Bum? I ain't seen him in a while. And we asked that, the thought lasted for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And
Went on to something else.
yeah, then we went on to something else. And we never saw him again.
Hmm.
But that short story,
Mhm.
Mhm.
once I grew up, I started thinking, well, what about that guy anyway? Who is he?
Right.
But I'm fully grown. I mean, I got gray hairs by the time that thought comes to me.
Uh-huh.
So John, who was already the elderly, gray-haired guy, I'm sure he had passed,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and he was back in New York, and I'm here in California, right?
Right.
So I decided to write a book about a homeless man.
Mm.
So this is my tribute to him, but I also felt that if I just wrote a book about a homeless person, I wouldn't want to read it.
Right.
so I made it a crime novel,
Okay.
Okay.
and then I thought I was done, and I had more story in me. That's where the sequel comes.
Okay.
And I thought I was done, and our son Seth, he says to me, "You know what, Dad? I think I know what you can do from now on. I mean, what your next book should be." And I'm thinking, "Oh, who told you there was going to be another book?" I'm
Right.
done.
I'm
Yeah.
done,
He
right?
said, "Just tell the story of John before he became homeless."
Mm.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm working on now.
That's what you're working on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this third one that you have here, the
That's
strawberry,
The strawberry
Yeah.
tree.
What is that about?
Yeah, I used to call it a children's story. I guess it's best for me to really describe it as a illustrated short story.
Okay.
Although children would enjoy it.
Mhm.
7 years and up would enjoy it. But that was just my attempt at okay, I'll say it.
Say it.
You know how black folks sometimes take white people, white icons, white stuff, and
Yes.
just make it black?
Yes.
Well, I was tired of that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, why can't you make our own character?
Okay, right.
Don't make a black Santa Claus, just make our own character.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did.
Okay.
Also, so this is basically a black character.
Oh yeah, they all are, because
Okay.
that's all I know.
All
But
right.
that's-
Well, that's not all I know.
No, you work. I'm sorry, but in the medical profession, you know mostly just white people,
Exactly.
especially in the era that you came out.
That's right.
The old white man's
Right.
organization. We fit ourselves in there. So since we're on the subject and the topic of you being an author,
Oh, there you are.
self-appointed author,
Mhm.
and then your son decided to make you a
Yeah, that's
further
right.
author. So you're working on that third book related to John.
John.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are you self-published or do you work with a publisher?
Yeah.
Self-published. Of course, I tried to get published, and like Vanessa always says to me, she always says it all the time. Well, why don't you do it?
So,
I'm like, okay.
what was the process of getting your book? How did you go about doing it yourself?
Well, there are a lot of self-publishing sites online.
Right.
So they'll once I finish this, I
Mhm.
submitted it, and they give you a score about how well they think the book is written,
Mm-hmm.
it got a pretty good score.
Okay.
So I said,
Okay.
okay, I can do this thing.
Okay, yeah.
Before or after an editor?
Right.
Well, that was before the editor.
Okay.
Okay.
The editor. And Vanessa did most of the editing on the first one.
Okay.
She said she'll never do that again. That's grueling work.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
it
grueling
is.
work. So on the second one, you know, I had a professional editor go through it, and it's a much better book.
Okay.
Much better.
Well, we always have to improve on
Yeah.
our,
Yes.
our
and
first
and
project.
this third one is really good.
It's going to be off the
Off
chain.
the
Yeah,
chain.
off
That's gonna
the
be a
chain.
chain.
It's gonna be crazy.
That's what the psychiatry part's going to be out. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So I know one thing, because time is short, we
Okay.
want to talk a little bit about the Westpac.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing now. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
dive into why did you decide to go into finance, and you know,
Being
what are
a
you doing
finance
with that?
broker.
Well,
Yeah.
I followed Vanessa into it,
Mm-hmm.
and once I got into it, I certainly enjoyed it. I knew how much we had been helped
Mm-hmm.
by a financial planner, so she was in it, and I followed fairly quickly into it.
Mhm.
And now that's what I enjoy doing it. It's, to me, on a philosophical level, it's no different than being a physician.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to ask you. I was
Because
going
you're
to say,
helping people.
yeah. So is financial health, what I already know, is financial health important to one's physical health? And if so, why?
Oh yeah, definitely, because we worry,
Mhm.
which is stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Which you know,
Mm-hmm.
you can attest to this about
Right.
most diseases being stress related,
Right.
and the number one thing that people worry about is money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Money.
And
Money,
so
money,
people need to
money.
understand that financial information and management is so key to their overall
Right.
health, their spiritual health, their physical health, but definitely
Right.
their financial health. And so that's why it's important. So tell us, give us an idea on the various types of programs and things that Westpac Wealth
Yeah.
offers.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, our philosophy, what we like to do is give people peace. You know, first we like people. I won't say this is in order of how we do it, but this is all encompassing. One, to have people protect themselves and their money.
Okay.
We look for ways to reduce their tax burdens.
Yes.
Opportunities to do that. Assets, we manage assets.
Mm-hmm.
We look for opportunities to increase somebody's cash flow. And in doing all of that, what happens is the person becomes financially organized. And when you become organized, you'd be surprised how your stress level starts to.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have to live from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah,
Right.
And
right.
I believe in paying myself first. So,
Yeah.
you know, obviously you have to pay your rent or your mortgage and things like that, but you really need to, in order to save, you need to pay yourself no matter how
Right.
small it is. $25 each
Right.
paycheck, $100 depending on what you can afford. Get that out the way, because if it's sitting there, you're going to spend it if you
Right.
don't have good financial discipline. So, you know, for people that are going into their professions, especially
Mhm.
earlier in their career, they really should start looking to invest into retirement plans and things like that, so
They
that at
should.
the end of the day, they don't have to work until they're, you know, 99 years
Right.
old, but
Absolutely.
that they can retire early and have something to live off of, and then and live off of the interest of what you've invested,
Right.
so that
That's
that stays there.
And
we
so
were,
what would
we
you
were
recommend?
talking last night,
Yeah.
and she was saying all this stuff, and I said, I'll just bring some ice cream and just sit back and let her talk, because she's got all the right things. You're saying all the right things.
So what do you recommend to our audience? Someone that is probably in their 30s that is just starting, and they have not planned for their retirement.
One, sit down with a financial planner.
Okay.
Don't try and do this stuff on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just don't sit at home when you're ill and try and figure it out all on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Go to
Come
a
to
physician.
a
Right.
physician.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying the good doctor can help?
I'm saying a financial doctor because I can help them. I know how to save some money. But if they want to know how to invest and how to do their stocks and whatever, go to a financial
That's right.
provider.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yes.
so yeah, that's the first step. I guess the first step has to do with pride.
Yes, it does.
Stop thinking that you got it. Stop pretending you've got it. Just humble yourself and say, I'm going to go seek help. You know, your eye hurts for a week. I think it's time to go see an eye doctor.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, and sometimes I've seen enough patients to say, and I've said to them, well, why did you wait so long?
Mhm.
Why did you wait
Yeah.
so long?
So the financial situation is such that when they've dug themselves so deep in debt,
That.
then now you have to put them on some kind of a plan to get them
Right.
out of debt so they can start saving for their future.
Right.
Right.
And so
That's
it's the same type of thing. You know, there's symptoms along the way. You need to take care of the symptoms because that leads to a bigger
Yeah.
problem. The disease.
Exactly.
You do not want to be 60 years old and don't have a retirement plan where you cannot step away from work.
Right.
And then if you do retire and you don't have a sound enough financial package or portfolio, then if a little bump in the road in the the stock market or something, you have to go back. So many of my patients had to go back to work after 2007,
Well, it's so
2008.
many
Right.
people.
That's right.
Yeah,
Even when even in my line of work, when the real estate
right,
arena crashed,
right,
people lost so much, and they
Right.
had to end up not only not being in that real estate arena, they had to end up choosing a different career path just so that they could,
Right.
to make it.
make
There's
it.
a
Mhm.
very sad 60-minute special that talks about the 401k
Yes.
and the crash of the market in
yes.
2008, 2009.
Yes,
And it just makes your heart break when you hear
it does.
these folks' stories.
It's when I say that it's bad, and I was ahead of the game, and unfortunately, me and my family, and when I say my family, it's me and my dad. We actually survived
Mm-hmm.
that real estate crash, and because everybody around us, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But I ended up investing in a technology business, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it right before the crash,
Mhm.
and it was amazing.
It was Google.
but sis, you better go ahead and dive
So
into
let's do
our
our announcements right now, real quick. So just want to let the audience know, yesterday was our monthly community outreach event at the Big Lots. We had a wonderful turnout. Everything was great. Shout out to Al for playing wonderful music for
Yes,
us.
it
We
was
appreciate
amazing.
that. So our next community outreach event, of course, which is free to the entire community, is next month, April 18th,
Mhm.
and from 10 to 6. So come on out, spread the word. We'll be sending, flyers out on Facebook and things like that. We'll get you out in the community, reach out to churches, but we want to just let people know that there's every type of service out there for them. Come do their one-stop shopping at our health hub.
Yes.
And so, sis?
You have been listening to the Many Shades of Pink and Black Health radio program on KBOKradio.com, sponsored by Many Shades of Pink. I'm your host, Wendy Sherrill, breast cancer survivor and advocate.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Susanna Fallo, retired family physician. And we want to say thank you, Dr. Larry,
Yes, thank you.
for coming here. You
You're
are
welcome.
a retired ophthalmologist, and you're also currently working right now as a broker at Westpac Wealth Partners.
That's
So
right.
call him,
Call
and
him.
he will take care of your financial needs. Thank you for taking the time to share your experiences, not only as an author, but also as a broker in the finance world, and then your journey through the medical profession. We appreciate you taking the time.
And thank you, audience, for listening, and be sure to tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m.
Bye-bye.